A very human emotion, written by Curious Wombat 42. My colleagues laughed when I told them that I was mounting a manned expedition to the Void Star cluster. That laughter turned to confusion and the questioning of my mental well-being once they realized that this had not been a well-placed joke, but a genuine statement of my planned endeavors. Like all rational beings in the galaxy, my people feared space travel like sentient cotton candy would fear the rain. And the Void Star cluster's high saturation with iota radiation made the construction of gateway travel anchors all but impossible, leaving that part of the galaxy mostly unexplored. Still, my decision to visit it remained, and I had a good reason for it. Well, a reason, at least. It wasn't that I was immune to the terror of space, far from it, but I had something my peers did not. I'd worked and lived with humans, and this changes you forever. Humans, if viewed from afar, are not very impressive. They were a small to medium-sized, bipedal, hard-working, and generally amicable towards the other races of the galaxy. They were also stark, raving mad. Not in the way the Xenothian berserkers, who tended to run at you at full speed with the intent to introduce your kidneys to the inside of your eye sockets, or like the lunatic prophets of Baal, who saw the world around them always 1 week further into the future, causing a vast amount of confusion to everyone around them. No, the human insanity was less direct. Not exactly lurking beneath the surface, unless you count the Leviathan trying to skulk inside a kiddie pool as hidden, but contained enough to only shine through once you spent more time around them and saw that glint within their eyes. Most species across the galaxy didn't stay around humans for long enough, partially due to exactly this reason, and also because the average human you came across didn't stay long in one place, preferring to travel between planets and hopping from star to star, holding cargo, running rescue and scout missions, mining rogue asteroids, repairing relay stations, where having prolonged exposure to the horrors of the galaxy was a key part of your job description. As said before, all reasonable life forms would rather have their vital parts slowly pressed through a fine metal grate, but humans would hardly be described as reasonable. They lived for it, and everyone else let them do their thing, as long as they didn't have to do it themselves. I worked as medical staff on a local starport for over a century, so I had plenty of contact with humans. Their constant galaxy roving made them a potential risk of spreading or catching diseases that, while harmless on their planet of origin, might be fatal epidemics when brought into the sprawling cities of another species. Therefore, at least half of our quarantine wing tended to be filled up with gaggles of humans. Humans, as it turned out, are not good at quarantine. First attempts at medical isolation ended with human patients growing more and more aggravated to the point damaging the rooms just so a mechanic could come in they could chat with. A variety of escape attempts and containment breaches later, communal quarantine wings were erected in most spaceports across the galaxy. And I found myself, as a general minder, staying in contact with human crewmen who were eager for any opportunity to talk just to pass the time. So we talked, and I listened, and over the time I learnt. I learnt to understand the human mind as least as much as possible. Humanity barely understood their own minds, and after a few of them agreed to get their brains scanned just for curiosity's sake, that was not a surprise. Within the human skull lies a vast ocean of thoughts, emotions, and memories, unsorted and untamed, and their psyche swims within it like a sailor in a cosmic storm. Foolishly, I tried to connect myself to a machine for a deeper scientific dive of human emotion, and then it struck me. Memories of degradation and disdain, of being seen as less than a person, a haze of self-loathing and burdening anger, all uncomfortable and horrid in their own right, but almost a saving lifeline against what came next. A feeling of an oppressive grey mass closing in from all sides at the speed of a dripping tar, slowly crushing me. I could feel my very essence being pulverized and siphoned out, all while a deep primal dread of existential fatality crashed over me like a tsunami. 1,000,001 scenarios of what could be flooded my brain. Explosions of potential, all smothered and chocked by the ever-enduring grey. dissolving into smoke and leaving behind nothing but regret and the bitter taste of wasted moments. I'm glad that the human noticed my screams and convulsions quick enough to unplug me before I was reduced to a babbling mess. When I described to them what I saw, the human simply laughed and said something about, "That's why he quit working in retail," as if those memories were not a constant avalanche of mind-shattering boredom, humiliation, and wanton cruelty. My kind excels in repetition and order. The concept of being bored had been foreign to me up to this point, yet through the senses of humanity, it felt like my very soul was being tortured. The human spirit must have evolved some kind of internal defense against its own self, simply to maintain, to function at any capacity. Not only in closing up the intensity of some emotions, but in the constant drive to new challenges and dangers, which is probably why they are not only endure, but enjoy space travel. Compared to retail, the constant possibility of dying a million gruesome deaths light years away from help must feel like a preferred choice. Needless to say, I didn't try to probe the human brain after that ever again, but I did enjoy the company of humans more and more, trying to see the world from their eyes, a galaxy of wonders with too little time to see it all, feel it all, experience it all, an existence where staying in one place, be it your body or your mind, was slow, creeping agony. Knowing that time gone by was not only gone forever, but could have been spent doing something, anything, that kept the fire within them burning, and fittingly, while having been subjected to the worldview within a quarantine wing, it was infectious. My kind lives 5 times that of an average human, but in the last centuries, what have I truly done? I'd done my job, I did it well, and on schedule, and improved my skill within my field according to the needs of this institution. Not only have I never left my planet, I haven't even left my home city for longer than a day or 2. Neither had my parents or co-workers. And before recently, I never truly asked myself if this was what I wanted to do until my expiration date. The humans around me were only a fraction of my age old, yet they had lived more than I had. So, I made a choice. My choice. The Indomitable was an old cargo ship overhauled for expeditionary purposes. Filled with human crew, it waited me at my local star port. Saying goodbye to friends and family, which was an unusually emotional event, I once more checked the inventory list for the coming journey. The Void Star cluster was a long way off, and from what the captain told me, they were planning to take the scenic route to get there. It would take months at best, and even if all went well, I would not be making it back home safely for at least another year. If it all went well. This was horrifying. This is the first thought that came to my mind as I made it to the loading ramp of the human ship. I am risking it all just to satisfy my curiosity, and it absolutely terrifies me. My feet stopped just before the threshold of the cargo bay. A second thought entered my head. But at least it'll be better than retail. With a faint smile, I stepped on board. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.